Those that we thought might be good are now bad, and vice versa. See if we can figure out the NFC playoff race heading into week 9. The calculations come from the playoff computer app. Check it out for your fantasy football leagues as we near playoff crunch time. For an entire year of geeky data, the premium level is about the price of one beer. Well, the NFC had built up quite an impressive lead over the AFC right up until week 8, in which the AFC brought out the buzzsaw and routed the NFC almost a clean sweep. The good news for any NFC team that wasn't in the slaughterhouse is that it's going to ease the pressure on the possibility of 10 wins not being good enough for a wild card spot. Anyway, moving on to the teams. The team with the highest statistical chance to make the playoffs remains the Philadelphia Eagles. Used 1 part Barkley, 1 part Hurts, and 3 parts referee bribery to get past the Giants and improve to 6-2. For extra bonus, the Cowboys and Commanders lost, so their hold on to the NFC East is fairly strong right now. About 3 and 4 chances to win it and 86% to make the playoffs. They should just need 4 more wins to secure a spot and might not even need any more for the division crown. After their bye this week, they do have some challenges. Green Bay in the frigid tundra, the Lions at home, then Entertainment Central with the Cowboys at Jerryland. If somehow they drop a couple and either the Cowboys or Commanders kick it into gear, then things might get interesting. But for now, they seem well on their way to the division title. And their 5-1 conference record with wins against a couple of other division contenders is likely going to play well for playoff seeding purposes. Next up, the Buccaneers struggled at times, but beat the Saints to join the Eagles at 6-2. Also, like the Eagles, they watched the rest of their division lose to have a strong grip on the NFC South. And also, like the Eagles, on bye and come back with a few tough opponents, Patriots, Bills, and Rams. But then the similarity stops. Those are the only remaining opponents they have that are currently above 500. So they could absorb a couple losses, especially if the Panthers and Falcons play like they did on Sunday. The Green Bay Packers denied Aaron of adding them to his trophy case, the only team he hasn't beaten. Now up on the lines for the NFC North. Looks like we are probably just down to those two for division contention. They've only played 1 division game so far, that win over the Lions, and they don't play another for a few more weeks. Get the Panthers this week at home. With most of the bruising from the NFC North game still to come, this is an important one to build a little bit of buffer for any potential pitfalls. Still unlikely that they will find themselves in any tiebreak situation with the earlier tie game against the Cowboys. 8 in 10 chances for them to see postseason. 5 more wins should do it. The Detroit Lions rested at 5-2. With the Packers win, their division odds are down to 1-3, but playoff odds of 2 out of 3. Host the Vikings this week, which is a team in a bit of disarray, so would expect them to continue their playoff push. This will finish off round 1 of the division battles. Interestingly, they've only played 1 non-division NFC opponent so far. They will tour the NFC East afterwards. Depending on how that goes may tell us whether their head-to-head results as well as conference record will come into play for tiebreakers. The Seahawks were also on bye. Watch the 49ers drop a game, so it's just them and the Rams at 5-2 on top of the division. The Seahawks technically first with the better division record. Near 2 out of 3 chances to go to the playoffs. Not a terribly challenging rest of schedule. Other than division games, the remaining NFC opponents are on the fringes of the playoff race right now. Losing to any of them could be inviting trouble. The first being the Commanders this week. If take this one, would have an excellent chance to be 7-2 after a home game against the struggling Cardinals, which if I plug that in right now, those 2 wins would put them 85% chance of postseason. The 49ers finally lost a game shorthanded, and maybe their injury woes are starting to catch up on them. Interestingly, though they are a half game back from the Rams, they have a very slightly better chance to make the playoffs than the Rams, owing to their stellar 5-1 conference record and the clean sweep of round 1 of their division mates. They'll get a chance to improve on their conference record with a game against another injury-depleted team in the Giants. Then a big one with the Rams at home. If they pull these next 2 off, they should be able to limp, literally, into the playoffs. Next at number 7 are those Rams, still 5-2, but haven't won a conference game yet. They did get all of their AFC games out of the way early, so it's all division and conference games here on out, adding that little bit of extra weight to each outcome. Get an early Christmas present with the Saints coming into town, not knowing which quarterback is going to be thrown into the ring. Then a few tough games, the big one against the 49ers, then a just as big one against the Seahawks, and then they take on the Buccaneers. One game is not supposed to make or break a season, but the Bears lost to the Lamar-less Ravens might be an exception to the rule. Being in the tough NFC North, having a rough remaining schedule, and likely needing to get to 10 wins to have a chance, and falling to 4-3 now might be worse than the 45% statistical odds relate. 0-2 in the division, losses to the Lions and Vikings, so their chances of winning a tiebreaker within the division are not all that great. To me, it looks like they are out of mulligans on the road to get to 10 wins. Let's take a quick look. Bengals this week certainly have a shot. Giants at home after that, winnable. Vikings away after that, a team having their own issues. So good opportunity to get on a roll and be 7-3. But then Aaron Rodgers, who has had their number for so long, the Eagles and Packers away, that could be 3 straight losses. Cleveland at home will be a must-win. So that would be 8-6 and likely needing to take 2 out of 3 among the Packers, 49ers, Lions finish. I'm not sure I take that bet. The Panthers showed us they might not be ready for the prime time as they were smoked by the Bills to drop back to 500. Puts them down to about 4-10 chance. Still have yet to play the Buccaneers, so they still could do some damage. Not a particularly easy rest of schedule. Just 3 opponents currently below 500. Packers this week. An upset would get them right back into things as they have the Saints and troubled Falcons afterwards. The Vikings now have to hope JJ is healthy and halfway good. Otherwise, their season could be spiraling out of control. Losers of 2 in a row, last place in the NFC North, down to a 1-4 chance to make the playoffs. Just a 1-2 conference record and a tough remaining schedule. Headlined with the Lions this week. A loss puts them down to somewhere around 14% and in almost miracle needing territory. The Cowboys were part of the NFC collapse in interconference games, not putting up nearly as much fight as we all thought they would against the Broncos. Still barely hanging around. Do get the Cardinals at home this week before their bye. 4-4-1 would at least give them hope. The Falcons fell face first against the Dolphins and really looked pretty bad in losing. They are going to need some help to get back on track. The bad news is they have the Patriots and Colts up next. Plug in 3 and 6 and you get a mere 1-10 chance to make the playoffs. But if they can surprise everyone that watched them play this past Sunday and swipe one of those, 4-5 with following games against the Panthers, Saints, and Jets, we couldn't rule them out just yet. The Commanders couldn't hang too long with Patrick and find themselves on a 3-game losing streak, and there's not much good news. Have a horrendous conference record of 1-4. Losses to the Falcons and Bears, 2 other teams that are trying to sneak into maybe the 7th seed, and a rough remaining schedule. Seahawks and Lions up next at home. Maybe they get Jaden back, but needing to probably go 7-2 is asking a lot. The Cardinals come out of their bye without much hope, 2-5. Toughest remaining schedule in the NFC. Not sure I see how they can pull it off. Cowboys in Dallas. Loser is basically done for. The team leading in feel-good stories that keep getting crushed is the 2-6 New York Giants, pretty much out of the NFC East. And unless they beat the 49ers this week, they will be pretty much out of playoff contention as well. The Saints are down to a lottery ticket to make the playoffs and no longer control their own destiny. Likely quarterback change, and playing the Rams will probably finish them off. That's it for now. Check out the Playoff Computer app for your fantasy or other league playoff race analysis needs, and enjoy your day.